So maybe you've just started to record your own music and mix your own music and you keep hearing this term compressor, or maybe you've pulled up a plugin and wondered, what is this thing? What are these knobs? What do they do? So today in this video, I'm going to show you how to use a compressor, what it is, and what it does. And so with that said, I'm just going to play this song. We're going to listen for the vocal. So what a compressor does is it takes the signal that's given to it, and let's say like this vocal, it has points that are quieter and it has points that are louder. So it takes the peaks and it brings them down using a thing called gain reduction. It is reducing the volume of the peaks and it brings up the quieter moments. So with this song, I'm going to put on the compression settings I have. And so we're going to take a little deeper dive. We're going to look at the vocal here by itself. So just this section right here, this is the wave file. And as you can see, this part's a little quieter than this part. And this part is a little bit louder than this part, or a lot louder. But here we go. This is the uncompressed vocal. A white night for my wife and mother. So for and the ma of mother is much louder than mother. So here it is again. A white night for my wife and mother. So we want to take these peaks up here for the for and the mother and we're going to bring those down. And this is just going to be, I have two compressors on this, but I'm just going to use the one for this example. A white night for my wife and mother. And so it took a white night, it made that louder, if you can hear that. A white night for my wife and mother. So mother, the ma and the ther is actually kind of at the same level, and then the for, it's not poking out as much. A white night for my wife and mother. Without. A white night for my wife and mother. White night for, it's going up. So as you can tell, so there's some peaks and valleys in this part. And so what's going to happen here is that this wave file here, it's gonna send its volume into the input here. That's the level it's coming in at. And so what I'm going to do is take this knob here, it's called the threshold, and if I put it up here, you can see right here, this orange line, this is the line of the threshold. That's where it's going to kick on. There's the signal. Now it's compressing. Or it would be if it was on. A white night for my wife and mother. And so if you look over here, you can see the input, the level coming in. For my wife and mother. And so then you can see, so this is the level that it's coming in. This is the threshold here. You can see it here. You can see it over here. This is how you can move it easily here. And then you can see it right here as well. That little that's the signal. It's compressing a lot right now. And so you can set the threshold. If I put it up here, it's not compressing at all because it's above the signal. You see that signal right there? This is the threshold and it's set way above it. So I have to bring that down in order for the compressor to turn on. Now it's compressing. Now it's taking the signal that's coming in. It hits the threshold, this little, almost like a play button right here, that little triangle. Once it hits that, it's going to start compressing at a thing. It's called gain reduction. It's going to do it's going to reduce the gain. Right there, it's reducing it a lot. It's going to take the volume down. So I got to set the level at what point I want this thing to kick on at. Usually it's going to be, so like for the for in this part and the mother, I want it to kick on somewhere around there because those are loud parts that I want to be reduced. Gain reduction. I want it to reduce the gain of those parts. The volume. Now if you just listen to a white night. Now let's do it with the compressor. A white night for my wife and mother. So right now, it's taking the part that's coming in, it's taking the peaks. Once it gets over this, over the threshold, I have the ratio set at 6:1. Now, the way to explain that would be for every 6 dB of volume that comes in above the threshold here, I've set the threshold, and for every 6 dB of gain that goes above this line right here, above that orange line that I'm pointing at right now, 1 dB is going to come out. That's ratio. Now, I found this to be an effective ratio for this vocal, but you can set this, it's usually defaulted at 3:1. So for every 3 dB of gain, 1 comes out. You can bring it all the way up to 100:1. This is basically limiting at this point. The higher the number, the more extreme the compression is going to be. I bring it down. The more you're going to hear the compression, the more it becomes almost limiting. But I'm going to put it at 6:1. So for every 6 dB, 1's going to come out. You can set it at whatever you feel it to be appropriate for your song. But the higher this goes, the more you're going to feel the compression. So 6:1 for this. And then we're going to talk about the attack and release time. The attack is just how fast the compressor is going to kick on once it gets above the threshold. And for this, it's set at 10 milliseconds. It can go, for this compressor, it can go all the way down to uniseconds. So that's the attack. It's how fast the compressor is going to kick on. The release is how fast the compressor is going to let go once it kicks on. So it's going to come on at 10 milliseconds right now, and it's going to let go after 80 milliseconds. But here, I'll show you. I'm going to bring it all the way. See, it's not letting go at all because the release is set at 4 seconds. It's just continually compressing it. It's continually bringing down the volume of it at that speed. I'm setting it in a way where it's going to let go of it quicker. I don't really want people to hear the compression. The next thing I'll say with like knee, like what is the knee? Well, basically it's the slope at which the compression is going to start. Like right now, the compressor will kick on a little before it hits the threshold here because I have a soft knee. But when the knee is hard, it's going to have to get over that ridge there. I can set it a little higher. And then if I bring it to a soft knee, if I bring the threshold up, it'll start compressing a little bit before it hits the threshold. See, the compression's kicking on. It's barely tapping it. So that's how I understand the knee. For a more transparent vocal where you're not going to hear the compression, you want a soft knee. But if you want to hear the compression, then you can have a hard knee. Now that can be, some people do that, like with an 1176 compressor, it's a hard knee. So at different ratios, it has a different knee. But for this, if you don't really want to hear the compression, I had it at a soft knee because I didn't really want to hear the compression. And it's deep, it's compressing every bit of 6 dB right there. And so as you can see right here, it's coming in at this level and it's coming out at a lower volume. So we're going to have to take the makeup gain and we're going to have to match the level. I don't want it to come out quieter when I'm compressing. I want it to be about the same level as I set. The other thing is for this song, I set the fader where it's at. This is, for right now, that's where I want the volume. So without compression, let's make it not loop. And so with my compression on, now the other thing I did in this song is I added another compressor, and so that's a technique, really just, it kind of fattens it, and it also, it's got a lower threshold. It's at 3 dB, for every 3 dB of gain that goes in, 1 dB is going to come out. And so I set this compressor a little bit differently. It's also, the threshold is a little bit higher, so I'm just catching more of the peaks. Or at least that's my intention. It's got a little bit more of a hard knee, so it's a little bit more aggressive. But this was my way of leveling out the vocal. So I'm going to turn off both compressors. And here it is with both on. And so that's my way of just getting the vocal to sit properly in the mix. The quiet parts have been brought up by the compressor, and the loud parts have been compressed. They've been gain reduced down so that everything's at a more even volume. And so that's going to wrap it up for today. If you guys have any questions about compression or anything that has to do with recording, you can always leave me a comment down below. If any of this confused you at all, I'd love to answer any questions on that. I have a free home studio buyer's guide checklist at homestudiorescue.com, as well as 6 tips to get ready for the recording studio. Those are PDFs you can download for free at my website at homestudiorescue.com. If you got any value out of this video, please smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.